drilled down into some articles, two articles, about Jim Rickards, a former CIA agent and a Department of Defense advisor, an investment banker, and I guess an attorney as well. He has predicted an actual date for when the US dollar will be replaced by the BRICs nations. So let's review what these say. Ex-CIA advisor predicts date when US dollar hegemony will collapse. And this is from June 7th of 2023. In an op-ed posted on the Daily Reckoning on Tuesday, former CIA and Department of Defense advisor and investment banker James Rickards predicted that August 22nd will be the day the US dollar's status as the world's reserve currency and medium for exchange will formally collapse. Many factors are worth considering, including the weaponization of the dollar against Russia's economy amid the conflict in Ukraine, the U.S.'s own national debt of $31 trillion, and recent talks on the part of the BRICS group to create an alternative trade and reserve currency that would rival the dollar. On August 22nd, about 2.5 months from today, the most significant development in international finance since 1971 will be unveiled, Rickards writes, in reference to the upcoming BRICS Plus Leaders Summit, which will unveil plans for substituting the dollar in global trade. What is interesting to note is that on that same day in 1971, August 22nd was also the day the U.S. dropped the gold standard. It involves the rollout of a major new currency that could weaken the role of the dollar in global payments and ultimately displace the U.S. dollar as the leading payment currency and reserve currency, Rickards added, noting that the shift could span over a period of just a few years. Rickards says the push for a new currency spearheaded by the BRICS Plus group will affect world trade, direct foreign investment and investor portfolios in dramatic and unforeseen ways, and cause an unprecedented global political shockwave. He also said that the BRICS Plus plans for expansion are the most important development of the BRICS system, noting that 8 countries have so far already applied for membership, along with 12 others expressing an interest in joining the bloc, including Saudi Arabia, which assisted the U.S. in propelling the dollar currency to the status of world hegemon through establishing the petrodollar system. There's more to this list than just increasing the headcount at future BRICS meetings, Rickards emphasized, pointing out that if Saudi Arabia and Russia are both members, you have 2 of the 3 largest energy producers under one tent. The U.S. is the other member of the energy big 3. On another note, the BRICS countries make up 30% of the world's surface, with 50% of global wheat and rice production and 15% of the planet's gold reserves. It accounts for 40% of the world population, 28% of nominal GDP pending Saudi Arabia's membership, and 52% is measured under the McT Formula. By every measure, population, landmass, energy output, GDP, food output, and nuclear weapons, BRICS is not just another multilateral debating society. They are a substantial and credible alternative to Western hegemony, Rickards said. Accordingly, when the bloc launches its new currency, it will not simply fall on an empty field, but will be integrated into a sophisticated network of capital and communications, which should greatly enhance its chances of success, he argued. Elsewhere in the op-ed, Rickards said that the BRICS currency is expected to be pegged to a basket of trade commodities or gold, and will likely appear in the form of a digital currency instead of paper money. He also said that chances for success for the BRICS currency to replace the US dollar will depend on the formation of an alternative to the US bond market, which is seen as the safest bet to safeguard assets' value. The key is to create a BRICS plus currency bond market in 20 or more countries at once, relying on retail investors in each country to buy the bonds. The BRICS plus bonds would be offered through banks and postal offices and other retail outlets. They would be denominated in BRICS plus currency, but investors could purchase them in local currency at market-based exchange rates. Since the currency is gold-backed, it would offer an attractive store of value compared with inflation, Rickards writes. He added that if the BRICS plus use a kind of Liberty Bond patriotic model, they may well be able to create international reserve assets denominated in the BRICS plus currency, even in the absence of developed market support. This entire turn of events, introduction of a new gold-backed currency, rapid adoption as a payment currency and gradual use as a reserve asset currency will begin on August 22, 2023, after years of development. The collective push to replace the US dollar as the world reserve currency has much to do with Washington's weaponization of the dollar through the use of sanctions, Rickards writes. On numerous occasions from 2007 to 2014, I warned U.S. officials from the Treasury, Pentagon, and intelligence community that overuse or abuse of dollar sanctions would lead adversaries to abandon the dollar to avoid the impact of sanctions. Such abandonment would lead to the diluted potency of sanctions, unforeseen costs imposed in the U.S., and eventually to the collapse of confidence in the dollar itself. These warnings were mostly ignored. We have now reached the first and second stages of this forecast and are dangerously close to the third, the Observer wrote. Western sanctions imposed on Russia in 2022 have particularly hastened the process of de-dollarization, causing many other nations to realize that they could be next if they run afoul of the U.S. on certain issues. In sum, Rickards predicted that the process of de-dollarization could occur at a much faster pace than he previously expected, owing to the fact that several countries are opting to carry out trade and financial transactions in local currencies, but also because of the growing strategic relationship between Beijing and Moscow as the two superpowers jointly confront the U.S. End of article. So, wow, that's a perfect cycle from 1971 to 2023, August 22nd, both years. This is very shocking news that he is giving out a specific date, because you would think something like this would be kept in confidence and would be of the utmost secrecy. But he's putting it right out there. Well, let's look at another article. This other article I wanted to share with you because it brings in digital currency into this, which that article did not mention. This article says economist Jim Rickards predicts unveiling of new BRICs currency, says the world is unprepared for this geopolitical shockwave. Jim Rickards, an economist and the author of Currency Wars, has predicted the unveiling of a new BRICs currency, stating that it could weaken the role of the dollar in global payments and ultimately displace the US dollar as the leading payment currency and reserve currency, emphasizing that the process by which this will happen is unprecedented and the world is unprepared for this geopolitical shockwave. He noted that the BRICs Plus present a realistic effort to de-dollarize global payments and eventually global reserves. Jim Rickards on BRICs currency challenging US dollar dominance. Economist and Currency Wars author Jim Rickards shared his predictions about a proposed BRICs currency in an opinion piece published by the Daily Reckoning earlier this week. The leaders of the BRICs nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, are expected to discuss the proposed common currency at their next Leaders Summit in August. On August 22nd, about 2.5 months from today, the most significant development in international finance since 1971 will be unveiled, Rickards wrote, elaborating, it involves the rollout of a major new currency that could weaken the role of the dollar in global payments and ultimately displace the US dollar as the leading payment currency and reserve currency. It could happen in just a few years. The process by which this will happen is unprecedented, and the world is unprepared for this geopolitical shockwave, he opined. Rickards explained that there are currently 8 nations that have formally applied to join the economic bloc, and 17 others have expressed interest in joining. The 8 are Algeria, Argentina, Bahrain, Egypt, Indonesia, Iran, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates, he detailed, adding that the 17 countries are Afghanistan, Bangladesh, Belarus, Kazakhstan, Mexico, Nicaragua, Nigeria, Pakistan, Senegal, Sudan, Syria, Thailand, Tunisia, Turkey, Uruguay, Venezuela, and Zimbabwe. In April, Anil Suklal, South Africa's ambassador to the BRICS Economic Group, revealed that 19 countries have either applied to join or have expressed interest in joining. We are getting applications to join every day, he stated at the time. By every measure, population, landmass, energy output, GDP, food output, and nuclear weapons, BRICS is not just another multilateral debating society. They are a substantial and credible alternative to Western hegemony. BRICS acting together is one pole of a new multipolar or even bipolar world, Rickards stressed. de-dollarization of global payments and global reserves. The Economist then discussed the global de-dollarization trend as a growing number of countries shift away from using the US dollar in trade settlements in favor of national currencies. What's behind this quest to ditch the dollar? In no small part is the answer US weaponization of the dollar through the use of sanctions, the Currency Wars author described. Many other nations began to conclude that they could be next if they ran afoul of the US on certain issues, and that fear has greatly accelerated the push to opt out of the dollar system entirely, he continued, adding the BRICs Plus present a realistic effort to de-dollarize global payments and eventually globalize reserves. Rickards noted that efforts to shift to using national currencies may soon be superseded by a new BRICs Plus currency, which will be announced in Durban, South Africa at the annual BRICs Leaders Summit Conference on August 22nd to 24th. Believing that the new BRICs currency will be pegged to a basket of commodities for use in trade among members, Rickards predicted initially the BRICs Plus commodity basket would include oil, wheat, copper, and other essential goods traded globally in specified quantities. He further explained, in all likelihood, the new BRICs Plus currency would not be available in the form of paper notes for use in everyday transactions. It would be, ding, 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 a digital currency on a permissioned ledger maintained by a new BRICs Plus financial institution with encrypted message traffic to record payments due or owing by participating parties. He clarified that this new currency will not be a cryptocurrency because it is not decentralized, not maintained on a blockchain, and not open to all parties without approval. The Economist concluded, based on the impracticality of commodity baskets as uniform stores of value, it appears likely that the new BRICs Plus currency will be linked to a weight of gold. This plays to the strengths of BRICS members Russia and China, who are the two largest gold producers in the world and are ranked 6th and 7th respectively among the 100 nations with gold reserves, he stressed. While Rickards anticipates the unveiling of the new BRICs currency at the forthcoming Leaders Summit of the Economic Bloc, there is widespread skepticism regarding the feasibility of such a currency. This skepticism extends to individuals like Lord Jim O'Neill, the British economist credited with coining the acronym BRIC. End of article. Okay, so it's a little confusing because first it says it's going to be digital. It would be a digital currency on a permissioned ledger maintained by a new BRICs Plus financial institution with encrypted message traffic to record payments due or owing by participating parties. He clarified that this new currency will not be a cryptocurrency because it is not decentralized, not maintained on a blockchain, and not open to all parties without approval. Well, let me know what you think about that. On the one hand, it sounds like they could use the XRP ledger. On the other hand, it looks like he's saying it's not. I don't know. What do you think? Write in the comments. I'd love to hear what it is your thoughts are. And please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Share this with your friends, family. Let them know that the US dollar hegemony is about to be over. We're going to a new system, likely in August. And although Mr. Rickards is very credible, I'm not going to take this as cast in stone. It's a possibility, and we'll mark it on our calendar and watch and see what happens. As always, we want to plan for something like this happening. We don't know when it will happen, but it is likely that this plan is going to be fulfilled at some point. So be prepared with extra cash on hand, extra food, water, and possibly even cryptocurrencies. That's all for today. Until next time, live the good life and be wealthy and smart.